Since David's trunk popped open, the entire street has been trying to piece together the case,
He's not a
caught
murderer?
between curiosity
Oh, thank God,
and
bro.
denial. Interview. But a new CCTV leak just flipped the entire story. David might be facing serious time, and I've got all the details. Let's get into it. When Celeste's body was discovered in David's Tesla, the internet came to a standstill. Shock hit first, but then the digging began. Online detectives combed through Discord servers, old live streams, group chats, and even leaked photos, piecing together what looked like a digital breadcrumb trail leading to something far darker. A hidden connection between the 20-year-old artist and a 15-year-old girl. And this wasn't just wild fan speculation or Twitter threads chasing clout. These were real receipts, Discord logs, screenshots, old clips, and leaked pictures showing Celeste with someone who looked disturbingly like David. Piece by piece, the puzzle started looking less like gossip and more like evidence. Celeste's link to David first surfaced through Discord screenshots dating back to 2021 and 2022, when she was barely 11 or 12. One viral screenshot showed Celeste telling David that her parents wouldn't let her attend his show, and his reply, looking back now, feels deeply unsettling. Interviewed to the online investigators, that didn't sound like a casual "don't worry." It sounded like David was dead serious about forcing his way into her world, no matter what. Other Discord logs revealed flirty conversations, private photo exchanges, and even fans on that same server mentioning a girlfriend named Celeste as early as 2024. One post from August 2024 sent the internet into a frenzy. It read, "Drop the one with the missing girl, Celeste." Out of context, it might not have seemed like much, but to those connecting the dots, it was confirmation. Not only did David know her, but his own fans ought have known about her disappearance before the public did. After Celeste's identity was confirmed, things spiraled even further. Photos allegedly leaked from David's iCloud began circulating online, showing him with a girl who looked disturbingly like Celeste, some of them innocent, others far too intimate for a teenager. While none of the images could be fully verified, the sheer number of them convinced Reddit investigators that this wasn't rumor, it was real. On the Our Hip Hop Heads forum, one post dated September 8, 2025, the same day Celeste's remains were linked to David's car, stood out. It read, "A close friend's little sister from LA ran away last year, and this is who she was with. LAPD swept. I'm terrified that's who's in the car." At the time, people brushed it off as internet fiction. But just days later, that comment looked like someone had been shouting the truth before the world was ready to hear it. Then came the live streams, the most damning evidence yet. In one archived broadcast, David allegedly joked about romantic homicide, clearly referencing someone younger. Another clip showed him dodging a fan's question about the girl from Lake Elsinore. It seemed cryptic then, but with everything that's come to light, it feels disturbingly specific. Teachers and classmates later confirmed that Celeste had bragged about a rapper from LA who would scoop her up. One teacher remembered it vividly. ChatGPT interview. When police later confirmed that David's Tesla had been seen picking Celeste up before her disappearance, everything started falling into place. Those live stream clues lined up almost too perfectly with his real-world actions, but the creepiest part wasn't the videos. It was the music. In late 2023, an unreleased demo titled Celeste leaked online, and its lyrics didn't sound like a harmless love song. They sounded like obsession. At first, fans brushed it off as fake or just another troll leak. But after her body was found, those words hit differently. They sounded like a confession. And the coincidences didn't stop there. David's breakout hit romantic homicide dropped on Celeste's birthday in 2022, and the lyrics suddenly took on a chilling new meaning.
I mean, you have people
Even
like
his 2025 video One More Dance featured visuals of him dragging a body into a trunk.
As well as people who are just straight up
What once seemed like dark, edgy artistry now looked like a reenactment of a real crime. People began to ask the question that no one wanted to say out loud. Was this art? Or was he confessing in plain sight? While police appeared to move slowly, the internet was already ahead. Online sleuths tracked his movements, dug up photos of him near her neighborhood, and even resurfaced TikTok comments from February 2024 accusing him of being involved with a 13-year-old girl. One streamer summed it up best. The chaos wasn't random. It was a trail David had been leaving the whole time. Interview. But no matter how much noise surrounded the case, one thing became undeniable. Every so-called coincidence pointed straight back to David. For fans, it was a gut punch. They had watched him grow from a goofy Fortnite kid into a relatable superstar, someone who felt genuine and harmless. Now they were staring at screenshots, photos, and lyrics that painted him as a predator. Social media exploded. One viral post put it bluntly, "He's 20 and she was 15. He's a pedophile and a murderer." Others urged caution, reminding people that he hadn't officially been charged. But brands weren't waiting for a courtroom verdict. Crocs and Hollister dropped him almost immediately. Collaborators backed out, and even artists who once proudly supported him, like Jason Thewene, publicly turned their backs. Interview. By October 2025, the evidence had piled up so high that it felt like the Internet had built its own unofficial case file. Discord chats, iCloud leaks, live streams, lyrics. It was all there, laid out for the world to see. While police were still combing through hard drives and Tesla logs, the public had already delivered its verdict. To them, this wasn't just about a body found in a trunk. It was about a digital trail of obsession, control, and exploitation that ended in tragedy. For Celeste's family, every new screenshot was another wound. Each leak not only fueled the world's morbid fascination with her story, but confirmed their worst fear. All of this could have been stopped if someone had paid attention to the warning signs. It all came crashing down on September 8, 2025, when LAPD stumbled upon something straight out of a nightmare. In the trunk of a black Tesla Model 3, abandoned in the Hollywood Hills, they discovered the decomposed, dismembered remains of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She'd been missing for over a year. The kicker? That Tesla was registered to none other than rising artist David, the romantic homicide kid who'd gone from gaming montages to world tours. Overnight, his name stopped being associated with sad boy anthems and started being tied to one of the most disturbing cases the music industry had ever seen. It started on August 26, 2025, when neighbors in the hills noticed a black Tesla sitting in the same spot, unmoved, collecting dust. Day after day, it stayed there. People even complained about a strange, rotting smell drifting through the air. Most assumed it was a dead animal, maybe a raccoon or coyote. But when the city finally towed the car to a lot on Mansfield and Roma, tow yard workers popped the frunk, and everything changed. Inside, wrapped tightly in plastic and weighing just 71 pounds after weeks of decay, they found a torso and head. The victim was still dressed, black leggings, a tube top, jewelry intact, but what froze investigators was a small tattoo inked across her finger in delicate script. It was identical to the one David had on his own hand. What once looked like a quirky celebrity tattoo now read like a twisted signature. By September 10th, dental records and fingerprints confirmed the body was Celeste's. She'd first been reported missing in April 2024, when she was just 13. At the time, she had a history of running away, so police, and even some family members, assumed she'd come back like before. Flyers went up, her name floated through the community, but the trail went cold. Now, she'd been found in the trunk of a celebrity's car, and the question on everyone's mind was the same. How did she end up there? How long had her body been hidden? Was this an accident gone wrong, or a deliberate cover-up? Then came the videos, the kind of clips that spread faster than any official statement. The first was dashcam footage from the tow yard, the Tesla surrounded by police tape, flashing lights reflecting off the black paint, and a body bag being lifted from the trunk. The footage didn't show her death, but the haunting visuals were enough for the internet to connect the dots. Next came leaked CCTV from David's Hollywood Hills rental. Neighbors claimed they'd seen movement late at night, bags being dragged across the yard around the same time Celeste reportedly vanished. LAPD hadn't confirmed it, but YouTube, TikTok, and X users dissected every frame like detectives in a true crime series. Another grainy clip surfaced from a liquor store in Lake Elsinore, Celeste's hometown. The footage showed a girl, identified by her sister as Celeste, wearing a hoodie and white pants slippy, into a waiting car. If authentic, it suggested she had been in contact with David far earlier than anyone realized. Each new video didn't just serve as potential evidence, it poured gasoline on an already raging fire. Once the body was officially identified, mainstream outlets jumped on the story. NBC News released grim details. USA Today reported that Celeste had likely been dead for weeks before being found. Fox LA even interviewed her ex-boyfriend about her troubled home life. Meanwhile, YouTubers and Twitch streamers treated the case like primetime content. Court TV and ABC7 delivered their straight-faced reports, but the biggest online personalities milked it for views. One viral streamer finally said what everyone else was thinking. How did this even happen? And how long had David been hiding it in plain sight? Interview. This was where everything split. Verified news outlets tried to stay official, sticking to facts and statements, while the internet streets cooked up their own theories. Wild, messy, and everywhere. What really set people off, though, were the connections stacking up. Celeste's friends had already said she was dating someone named David when she went missing. The Tesla, the tattoo, it was all adding up in the worst possible way. Then fans started revisiting his catalog. That romantic homicide track didn't hit like a heartbreak anthem anymore. It sounded like a confession. Even crazier, the song had dropped on Celeste's birthday. His One More Dance video, released in February 2025, showed him dragging a body into a trunk. Back then, it was brushed off as dark art. Now, it looked like a chilling foreshadowing of the very crime scene that shocked Los Angeles. When the unreleased Celeste demo resurfaced, filled with obsessive and controlling lyrics, it no longer felt like coincidence. To a lot of people, it was evidence hiding in plain sight. By late September, the streets were demanding answers. LAPD raided David's home, seizing encrypted hard drives and uncovering hidden cameras disguised as everyday objects. Forensic teams tore into the Tesla logs, analyzing timestamps to see exactly when the trunk was last opened. Still, no official cause of death was released. No charges were filed. David hadn't even been arrested. But the public had already made up its mind. Online threads branded him a groomer, a manipulator, and a killer. His old posts flooded with snake emojis, accusations, and fury. At a vigil for Celeste, one mourner said what everyone was thinking. This could have been stopped. By the end of September 2025, the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez wasn't just a Hollywood tragedy, it had become a cultural earthquake. The internet was split between digital detectives and outraged mourners, while LAPD insisted the case was still active. But in the streets, people weren't buying it. Many believed the investigation was dragging because of who was involved. Detectives had narrowed in on 4 main areas. First, the Tesla's data logs. They pulled its black box and navigation history, retracing every route and checking timestamps for when the trunk opened and closed. Second, forensic evidence. Though Celeste's body was too decomposed to determine a clear cause of death, teams were combing through DNA, fibers, and residue from the plastic wrap and interior. Third, electronics seized from his Hollywood home. Encrypted hard drives, iPads, and hidden cameras that tech teams were still trying to crack open. And finally, timeline reconstruction. Police were piecing together Discord messages, leaked clips, CCTV footage, and witness statements to map Celeste's final days. Yet despite all that, no homicide charge had been filed. As of October 2025, David still hadn't been cuffed, just his name plastered everywhere forever, or tied to a Tesla that had become a coffin. Interview. That's what really set the public off, the fact that no charges had been filed yet. People were furious, demanding accountability, while legal experts tried to calm things down, explaining that it wasn't that simple. But interview. Basically, just because the body was found in his car doesn't automatically mean he pulled the trigger, at least not in the eyes of the law. But for Celeste's family, that explanation sounded like pure stalling. To them, every day without charges felt like the system protecting a celebrity instead of a child. Some legal experts even suggested that David might not have acted alone, that others in his circle could have helped move the body or cover up her disappearance. If true, the case could stretch far beyond just him. Legal analysts began speculating about what charges prosecutors might bring if they decided to move forward. Statutory rape and sexual exploitation of a minor were top of the list. Celeste was only 13 when the alleged relationship began, making any sexual activity illegal, period. Child endangerment was another possibility if she'd been living with him or kept hidden from her family. Then came the more serious potential counts: murder or manslaughter if forensics linked him directly to her death, and obstruction of justice or improper disposal of remains if he or anyone in his circle tried to hide the evidence by leaving her body in the Tesla. Each of these charges required different levels of proof, which is why prosecutors were moving cautiously. They knew that once this went to court, David's defense team would fight tooth and nail to discredit every piece of evidence. But while the law dragged its feet, the music industry didn't wait. Crocs dropped him. Hollister cut all collaborations. Features with other artists vanished from streaming platforms. Festivals blurred his name off their flyers, and his European tour dates were quietly postponed. Labels even began scrubbing his promo from websites. Practically overnight, his entire career was cut off. Fans, too, turned from supporters to investigators. They weren't just canceling him, they were dissecting his lyrics like they were crime scene evidence. Bars that once sounded poetic now read like confessions. The world no longer saw Celeste as just a missing girl. She became a symbol, a face representing every young victim failed by fame, power, and silence. When authorities confirmed that the body in the Tesla belonged to Celeste Rivas Hernandez, everything shifted. It stopped being just a crime story and became something heartbreakingly human. This was about a daughter, a sister, a classmate, a girl from the neighborhood who never made it home. For Celeste's family, September 10, 2025, was the day hope officially died. Her mother, Mercedes Martinez, had spent over a year praying that her daughter would walk back through that front door. But the dental records shattered that hope. Her brother Matthew confirmed what much of the internet had already pieced together. The family knew Celeste had been involved with an older man named David. He even remembered seeing her get picked up in that same Tesla where her remains were eventually found. Then came the most chilling detail. Mercedes once received a phone call from an unknown number. A voice on the other end told her to stop posting about Celeste's disappearance, insisting she's fine, and to take the post down. That moment, in hindsight, wasn't just eerie. It was a warning. A sign that someone wanted Celeste's story buried long before the world ever learned the truth. Interview Ikaru. That call terrified the family. They thought staying quiet might keep Celeste safe, but now that silence feels like a decision they can never undo. Her half-sister Jennifer remembered Celeste as bubbly and mature for her age, but also restless. She had a habit of running away, skipping class, and slipping into a grown man's world the family couldn't pull her out of. What made their pain unbearable was the feeling that the system had failed her. The family claimed they had warned LAPD about David before, but police brushed it off for lack of evidence. Now they weren't just grieving, they were enraged. Her friends painted the same picture from a different angle. Celeste was fun-loving but distracted, always talking about some rapper from LA. By 2024, she seemed to be living two lives, one as a student, one as a secret. Classmates recalled her dropping cryptic hints about spending time in Hollywood and hanging with someone older. Most thought she was just exaggerating, But when she vanished in April 2024, those same friends were the ones posting flyers and combing social media for clues. When her body was finally identified, grief hit like a tidal wave. Friends flooded timelines with tributes, old photos, and messages about her infectious smile. The entire community of Lake Elsinore was shaken. The thought that one of their own, a teenage girl from the block, ended up dead in a Tesla tied to a rising star left people furious. Parents demanded answers, and soon the story caught national attention because it highlighted something much larger: the danger of celebrities having unchecked access to young fans online. Psychotherapists like Dr. Janie Lacey spelled it out clearly. This wasn't just a tragedy, it was a warning. 10 interview online. The hashtags told the story. Hashtag Justice for Celeste and hashtag Cancel David were trending everywhere. Most people had already made up their minds. David was done. A few voices tried to slow things down, reminding everyone he hadn't officially been charged. But with the Discord leaks, iCloud photos, and lyrics lining up with real-life events, defending him started to look delusional. Brands wasted no time cutting ties. Crocs, Hollister, even Kiyuki pulled their collaborations from streaming platforms. Artists who once stood by him, like Jason Theween, made public exits, saying they couldn't co-sign his name anymore. Mainstream media covered the story non-stop, but it was really the internet that drove the narrative. YouTubers, TikTokers, and Twitch streamers were all eating off the case, breaking down every screenshot, lyric, and police update like it was an episode of CSI. Some creators stuck to verified sources and court documents, but others leaned hard into conspiracy theories. That mix of facts and fiction blurred everything, but the truth didn't seem to matter anymore. Public perception was locked in. What once looked like edgy art now felt like a confession dressed as music. Still, too many questions remained unanswered. Cause of death. Was it murder or something else? Timeline. When exactly did she die, and how long was her body in that Tesla before it was towed? Involvement. Was it just him, or did someone in his circle help move or hide her body? Motive. Was it an accident, a loss of control, or something darker? Digital evidence. What's really on those hard drives, and could there be other victims? Until those blanks get filled in, speculation keeps running wild. Celeste's family has been outspoken, accusing LAPD of negligence. They claim they warned police about David back in 2024, but their reports were ignored. That's why so many online don't trust the system. On TikTok and X, people say if this were a random guy from the block, he'd already be behind bars. But because David was famous, he's still walking free. Celeste's story became bigger than just one artist or one victim. It became a symbol of how easily young fans can be exploited when fame, clout, and the internet collide. Experts warned that platforms like Discord and Instagram give kids direct access to their idols, and that access can be weaponized. Celeste's alleged grooming from age 12 showed exactly how fast things can spiral when no one's watching. Through all the noise, her family still had to plan a funeral. They launched a GoFundMe for costs, and it spread like wildfire. Donations came in from around the world, from people who didn't know Celeste but felt her story deeply. Memorials popped up both in Lake Elsinore and at the